We are tracking a steady storm cycle as we're starting to wrap up the year, heading into the new year. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and it all gets going tomorrow. Now, in terms of our total precipitation all the way through Saturday, it's decent, a half an inch to an inch and a half through the northern San Joaquin Valley. Closer to downtown Sacramento, about an inch to 2 inches. Again, this is going to be two systems combined. And then higher totals for the northern part of the state, about 2.5 to 3.5 inches, about 1 to 12 inches of snow. All of this kind of in the minor impact zone with light to moderate rain and snow, slick roads, and possible chain controls for the higher elevations. And we're going to be timing it out as we head into the new year. Yeah, we're 6 days and counting until we welcome in 2024. It is still deep into the holiday travel period, as well as a lot of celebrations, taking down decorations, trying to make returns, still shopping for all the holidays. Perhaps you have a festivity that you're going to or hosting for the New Year's celebration, and all of that. We've got some pockets of dry weather. It needs to be timed out to kind of avoid some of the heavier downpours with rain and even some snow for the higher elevations. Here's a look at that active weather timeline, which is going to be quite a bit different than what we saw this past week. We had fairly dry weather, a couple of weather systems passing through, but overall some pretty good travel through our Christmas. Wednesday, we see the rain and snow starting up our snow line about 6,300 feet. Now it will rise to about 7,000 feet overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Still putting snow on the passes. It's not going to be a ton, but when we see snow on the passes, you know how it goes. And likely we'll have those chain controls in effect. Then we get some dry weather Thursday afternoon through early Friday. This all starts up once again with our snow levels starting at 7,000 feet. It actually falls through our Saturday to around 6,000 feet. Should put some nice snow at the base level for the Tahoe Basin there. Before we even get to that, though, we still have some patchy fog to deal with overnight Tuesday into early Wednesday. It's not going to be as widespread, but you can certainly see towards the Delta, the Coastal Valley area, we will see some areas of reduced visibility. So if your travel plans or even your commute take you out early in the morning, be prepared for that. It clears really quickly, though. Once we get that weather system coming in, we pick up occasional gusty winds. It's not going to be too problematic, but that will help to just discourage the fog from sticking around and really disperse that throughout the course of the morning. Here's a look at the bigger picture across the Pacific, and you can certainly see that counterclockwise circulation of that low that's pulling in the moisture from the Pacific, which is going to give us the first in a series of storm systems rolling our way. The bigger picture really showing the opportunity for another one right behind it, and then still in development could potentially be a third storm we'll be tracking. Each one of them will give us different impacts. The first one just kind of opening things up for us to start to see some rain and snow finally back in the outlook. So Wednesday, we see that snow level at about 6,300 feet. Here you see by Thursday morning, it is up to about 7,000 feet. But this just gives you a better picture of where those passes are for Donner Summit along I-80. That's going to take us from Sacramento through the northern side of the Tahoe Basin. Our summit is at 7,200 feet. And then on the south side of Lake Tahoe along Highway 50, that's Echo Summit, a little bit higher at 7,300 feet. But again, with the snow line at 7,000 feet, that is going to put snow on the passes. And anytime we see that, we could have chain controls, which always sets back that travel time a little bit more, becomes a bit longer. Friday evening, when that next weather system rolls through, we'll start it off exactly where we ended the first weather system. But then during the course of the day on Saturday, we get some colder air working in. That's going to help to lower those snow levels, which means our chains could be a little bit lower in effect going over the summit, which means slow going. Total accumulation. Again, the first weather system, I know this does not look impressive at all, only about an inch of snow or so. We'll see a few areas that will see slightly higher totals. Second system rolls in, and you can see how those numbers go up. So this is going to be a colder and slightly bigger system for us into our last weekend of 2023. Hard to believe that. Here's a look at our future weather. Wednesday morning, it's a dry commute, but then quickly thereafter, we start to see rain developing, and it will continue through our Wednesday afternoon and evening. Then we'll get a pocket of dry weather in there on Thursday. Some of the heaviest rain falling during the evening commute on Wednesday for the valley. Mostly dry throughout the state on Thursday, and then on Friday, you can see how big this weather system is. It's really going to stretch from north to south throughout the state. But again, It will take us through our Friday late day. So if your early travel plans are out on Friday morning, really shouldn't see too many problems with wet roads. It's during the evening and into our Saturday that we really start to gear up for the heavier precipitation as well as the snow in the Sierra, with that snow line coming down as well. In terms of total rainfall coming in during the day on Thursday, about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of rain throughout the valley, pretty close to that along the coast as well and through the foothills. Then again, second system comes in. It's a bigger one, brings up the totals to roughly about 1 inch to 2 inches of rain throughout the valley and for the foothills. If we do indeed get that amount of rain, that's going to put us pretty close to average for the water year, which is good news because we started off pretty slow here. It's kind of patchy up in the Sierra for skiing. Our 8 to 14 day climate outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, that likely warmer scenario shifts slightly more to the north of us, likely cooler in Southern California. And then through Central and Northern California, we're going to be pretty close to average, which is about 55 degrees or so for average highs in the valley. Our likely wetter scenario, though, that looks like it is going to stick around for the first week of January. And here's largely why. We've got a couple of atmospheric rivers we're going to be tracking. Some of them have a subtropical tap, but for the most part, we also see the interaction of some cold air moving in, which is always good news for the high country. Otherwise, that snow line is way above the passes, and it really doesn't help the ski resorts too much. So here comes the first one that we were talking about hitting us for tomorrow. Now that moves out of here. Right behind it on Friday into Saturday is our second weather system, followed by a break, it looks like, on January 1st. So we'll start off the new year with dry weather, and then shortly after that we'll start tracking that next one in line. It's pretty early in the game to get really precise timing on that and totals, but it's just to give you a heads up of what to expect. Again, starting off the water year October 1st, we've seen decent numbers for rainfall, but when you look at how far below average we are, we actually need these next couple of weather systems to come on in. I know it's not great timing anytime you have to travel during the holiday season with rain and snow, but it would be nice to see a little bit better numbers here, especially as we head into our January month, which tends to be not only the snowiest, but also the rainiest throughout Northern California. These are just some of the average numbers that you can see. Once we get into that February, March timeframe, things really fall off. So the next 3 months are really our opportunity to pick up some of that snowpack, which helps to feed our reservoirs and about 1/3 of our water supply in California. We're only at about 25 to 35% of average right now throughout this year. That's going to put our statewide average at 33%. And you can see the difference in year to year. Last year, we had really big numbers coming into our December season here. This year, our snow water equivalent. So if we were to take all that snow, melt it down, how much would we get in actual moisture and water content? It's really looking pretty thin right now. Central Sierra, not terrible, but we need to fill the reservoirs throughout the dry season so that we have some water to feed the state. And right now, those reservoirs are still looking really good because of what I just showed you, that snow water equivalent from last year. Our total capacity, though, is at about 50 to 65% full. And that's only because we have to prepare for the biggest and wettest months ahead, particularly January and February. So you can't have those reservoirs completely full and then all of a sudden start getting this big storm lineup. Some of these reservoirs just downstream don't have the capacity to release, so they really have to be very cautious in terms of how much water they keep in. But overall, again, almost all of us are at above average for this time of year. Here's a look at a little bit longer range outlook, and this will take you through the entire Pacific Northwest, just because I know we've got some folks that are going to be traveling up and down that I-5 corridor up towards Washington and certainly into Oregon. Wednesday, pretty much Central California through the Pacific Northwest will get hit. This one's going to dodge Southern California. Second one in line, though, that actually hits a little bit farther to the south. So Southern California, we're going to get on some of this rain coming in for Friday into Saturday. Pacific Northwest, not so much, not the worst travel. And then right after that, we have this little low that forms right behind it into New Year's Day. It looks like perhaps the central southern Sierra zones will get some snowfall. That will help places like possibly Bear Valley, but more so Mammoth. but it looks like that's going to slide right along the coast. So even that doesn't look like it's going to give us a whole lot of rain. It's the one right behind it that could get us right back into that rain and snow event. And I know a lot of folks have that January 1st through January 5th timeframe off. At least a lot of school kids do. So you may be planning to do some traveling during that time frame. And it does look like January 2nd and 3rd we'll get another weather system coming in here. So perhaps travel into Oregon as well as northern and central California could be impacted by that. Nice to see some snow, though, getting going for the start of the new year. We've got all the ski resorts that kind of rely on a lot of this holiday traffic to come up there and get on the slopes. That storm system, again, will impact parts of Southern California that Thursday and Friday as we're kind of wrapping up this long holiday season. And then we have still more potentially off in the pipeline. The 3-month precipitation outlook is actually looking pretty promising from the Climate Prediction Center. Wetter than average throughout the entire state. That will fall very much in line with that El Nino pattern that we're in right now, and above average throughout the Pacific Northwest through much of Northern California. That's not to say we won't get some cold storm systems in here. It's just on average, our temperatures are likely going to be on the warmer side. Forecast for tomorrow for the middle of our work week as that first storm system starts to roll on through. 40s up top for the Sierra, 50s down low for the foothills, with highs along the coast in the 50s to near 60. And we'll see that inland as well. Just be prepared to kind of dodge some raindrops out there throughout the day. Our 5-day forecast, we'll keep it with an active weather period here for the mountains, the foothills, and the coast, with on and off showers right through this last weekend of the year. Heading into the new year, as I mentioned, right now I'm going to forecast dry conditions for Monday for New Year's Day, and then more rain events coming in for the rest of the work week or holiday week. If you have that week off for travel, could be impacted by that. Make sure to download our ABC 10 Plus streaming app where you can get the weather playlist with in-depth forecasts just like this. We're going to keep you up to speed with these extended forecasts right through the busy holiday travel period as these storm systems roll on through. We also have our weather specials on there. Mega flood water wasted and our California drought series. Kind of fun to check out if you are inside and it's a rainy day. You can kind of watch some of those weather specials that we have online there. All right, that is a look at the updated forecast. I hope you have a great rest of the day.